lost everything, the question was, what would you have? I knew that I'd still have my family and I'd still have my faith. And in that, I found contentment. I realized I didn't need anything else. When we're content, it's a feeling that we have everything that we need. And so practicing contentment is very important in determining what financial decisions we make. We get in this mode where we say, I'll be happy if I have this. Before we know it, we're shopping for it. Before we know we're buying it. And we really need to ask ourselves, what is a need and what is a want? And be real with ourselves. There's a lot of times in which I convinced myself that something was a need when I was going through these financial mistakes. And it really wasn't. It was absolutely a want. And if I was honest with myself, I would have been able to make better decisions. So that's why it's important that you have a good budget. If you have a good budget, that's when you're sitting down and you're really thinking about what's a need and what's a want. And oftentimes when I'm working with someone in a budget and they're out of budget, I ask them to go back and say, really sit down and look at and be honest and pray over whether something is a need or a want. And in that, they find that there are a lot of wants that we have previously called needs. And so you can work them out of your budget and you can make better financial decisions. It reminds me of another story. When I was in the toughest financial spot in our lives, we had to give the car back that I was using. It was on a lease. We had to give it back. Couldn't afford to buy it, of course. And a friend loaned me their truck. And this truck was a beat up, rusty, grimy old truck. And I remember driving down the road and I was thinking to myself, man, things have really changed. You know, I'm not in this sedan, this black sedan that I used to have. And it came over me once again, you have something to drive. And in that I was content and I found peace. So there's just a couple of examples where if you really stop and ask yourselves what you need, we have it. In 1 Timothy, it says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Paul goes on to say, people who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. That perfectly describes what I went through when I made these financial decisions, and they weren't good financial decisions. God let me go to a place where I had to turn around, repent from those things, and come back from it. And in that, he gave me peace. So what I encourage you to do is that when you're feeling discontent, stop and ask yourselves, what is it that you're trying to convince yourself that you need? And the reality is, you probably don't. And in that, you can find that financial peace.